Folks at home, welcome back to Root TV. I am very, very excited for this talk. It's a balmy hot. So here's where I'm jealous. Okay, my guest today lives in California, and last I checked, the freaking weather is 65, 68. I could be wrong. Maybe it warmed up. Maybe it's like 70. Here it's like 170. Uh,
Whoa.
yeah, it's you can't breathe outside. I brought my dog Maui outside. She laid down. She couldn't stand it. This is New Jersey, right outside of Philly.
Yeah.
My guest tonight is in Long Beach, California,
Yes.
and they have the best weather. I'm extremely jealous. Like California is supposed to have the worst, like unbreathable. But this is amazing. So I should probably tell you who exactly my guest is. So folks at home, we have on the show tonight somebody I wanted to get on the show for a long time. One of my favorite humans. Okay, so you're gonna have to tell me which billing you want first, but I'm just gonna say them all. Um,
Okay.
so we have musician, artist, mural. Yeah, well, we could say it. We could say it. I saw mural teacher and master cakesmith. Master cakesmith. I don't know if
I
that's a
like a
word.
cake smith.
Don't
I
know.
always talk about being in the cake mines when
Yeah.
I'm working on stuff, but yeah,
I don't know if cakesmith is a word, but
I like
I,
it. It is now.
I
Yeah.
just invented. I just invented cakesmith.
Yeah.
Folks at home, Jennie Cotterill. How you doing, Jenny?
I'm super good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Good. Very happy to have you on the show. And you I believe right before you're just doing some cakesmith skills, finishing up one of your masterpieces, right?
Yes. Yes. I have a cake pickup at 11:30. So I hope we're good. I'm a little late, but
So you
yeah.
got yeah, I said all those things, musician, cake builder, cakesmith, artist. Like, is there any art medium or style you didn't try that you want to try, or have you covered all the bases?
Um, Oh my gosh, I've been very experimental, which is what brings me joy.
Yeah.
So I mean my like art practice is like
Mhm.
just whatever serves the project. So like sometimes it's painting, sometimes it's like a diorama, sometimes it's
Yeah.
photography, sometimes it's collage, sometimes it's like just whatever it should be. Yeah, and when I was in school, I like got an illustration
Yeah.
degree and like I was like I got a master's degree. I'm not saying that to be like, but the cool thing about that was like you get to your thesis is like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to try everything. So
Yeah.
I like crafted my project kind of that in a way that would incorporate like a lot of experimentation. There's like installation and interactive stuff and like an audio tour and like it was just a lot of things I've only ever done once, and like
Yeah.
I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah.
Just had to check it out, but my dream, this may be like a retirement project, is like a mini putt course. I got a thumbs down. Is this live?
No, 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 no. That's weird. How did that happen?
I was like, are we on Instagram Live where people just
No,
type
no,
in to talk
that is the
shit?
first time that has ever happened, and we are not live. No, what the
That's so funny. The ghosts are like, boo.
maybe
Okay.
the gods are telling to not
Don't
do
do the
that. I
mini
don't
putt.
know.
Hey, I'm
Maybe that's the
open.
universe. Maybe that's the universe telling us to not.
Yeah, it
That is
will
weird.
not. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what that
I
was.
mean,
Sorry about that. Sorry about
no,
that. Sorry about that apparition that just did that. Sorry.
I'm open to signs, so that's fine.
I
That's
just did a talk with an actor a couple days ago, Elliot Fulham, and it has never happened. Like that is weird. That is
okay.
strange. Very
It
weird.
is. It's
Yeah.
definitely.
Anyway, but speaking about art, of course, most of you folks at home know Jenny from her music. Um, right off the bat, I got to get this out of the way. Love the new band Reckoner.
Cool.
Tell us how this came to be. You got Candace, you got Kyle, and if I pronounce the name wrong, you can exit out of the chat. Sven, right? Sven
Then,
or
yeah, like
Ben?
a
Yeah.
Stimpy cousin,
Oh, that's a cool name.
Ren and
That's a
Stimpy.
badass name. I like that. So tell us how this came to because you released so far to the public,
Hmm.
two
Yeah.
songs. Um, and I'll get into some of my questions about that because I know you've already started doing shows. But tell us how Reckoner came to be first.
Oh, okay. I love this story. So Candace is one of my best friends, and like a huge influence in my life and like source of information and like kind of guidance. And like, it's hard for me to imagine having more respect for a human, living or dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we met from being like women in music in like Orange County, and Candace, I would say, is like a major connector of these things and like organizer musically. So like if you this just happens, I don't know if it happens with other groups or demographics, but like being like a woman in like a mostly male scene, you just kind of like either get introduced to each other or like put on shows together or
Yeah.
like end up working together, and like it's a broader network than just like a genre.
Hmm.
And then Candace was running the rock and roll camp for girls in Orange County for a long time. And I got involved with them there, and like um just like really, we used to live like a block away from each other, which there's
Okay.
not a lot of people that like kind of share similar views in Orange County.
Yeah.
And then they moved to LA, and like that was a big thing because they were so integral to like what was happening in Orange County, but also like are thriving in LA. Like there's something every night that they're like performing or organizing or like, demonstrating. And
Yeah.
like um so they when we met, Candace's pronouns were she, her, and like
Mhm.
um identifying as a woman. And then now Candace is like trans, and that's like very exciting, I think, for like to open up this like broader discourse about gender, like in like the public consciousness is like, I just feel like
Sure.
it's obviously like really fucked up and sad that like there's all this like hatred and backlash and like shitty legislation that's being pushed, but like
It's really like not to cut you off, but like I meant to ask you this later, but now that you brought it up, like what is people why do people have a problem with, and this is really what I boil it down to. Why do other people have a problem with people being themselves?
I mean,
Why is that?
I think it's almost like having an opinion about what somebody else orders at a restaurant. Like
Yeah.
it has nothing, you know what I mean? Like,
It
don't
doesn't
it's
affect, doesn't even,
you. Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but I think people are threatened, like,
Hmm.
um, because I think making choices about what a human, an individual wants to do that is outside, like ordering off menu, is like threatening to people that are trying to control and like,
Yeah.
I would say manage, but it's
It's a good
not.
example. Yeah.
It's like, so I think, and then I also think it's threatening because it's like systems of power and oppression
Hmm.
do not want people to like go out and get what they want and make decisions. Like I dated a person that was from Colombia, and we talked about like what the public education, well, there, he went to a private school, which is just it's a different system than we have here. And he was like, yeah, we focused on like philosophy in high school. And I was like, we don't do that in the States because they don't want people to ask questions. It's like, just take it and just don't ask what it is, just take it and swallow it. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's so much easier to control people and like oppress people
Hmm.
if they don't think to ask questions or like
Yeah.
poke holes in things or like make decisions for themselves. So I think this is threatening for that reason. I mean, obviously like the Christian right is like
Yeah.
this like monolithic wall where they like all agree to like link arms and be
Mhm.
anti-reproductive rights and like, misogynistic and like, just generally like
Not have any empathy at all.
Bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like the idea of like, don't ask questions about what happens when babies die and where they go. And it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But like tell people what to do with their bodies. And like this is just like a level of autonomy that is so threatening to like
I can't even
give them
imagine. I
the
can't.
power.
Yeah. No. I hear you, and I can't even imagine as a you know who I am. I kind of like. I tell people this. Like I try to put myself in other people's shoes and try to. Even though I'm not feeling that, I try to feel what other people feel because I just want to. I can't even imagine how how that feels to just exist and the courage that it takes to be yourself in that way anyway. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about in generalities, but in that way, in terms of like, who you really are, it's it's commendable. And for someone to, we're getting off track here, but I don't really care. Uh uh for someone to come to shame that person for being who they truly are is just fucking awful. And I don't know how anybody doesn't, it doesn't affect them. No one, it doesn't affect their lives, the people who are,
Yeah.
so it's almost to me, and I'm gonna run this by you. I think this is an idea that I kind of thought of. It's like, is it a subconscious thing where it's like the people that are against um people like Candace, they have a subconscious thing going on in their head where it's like, I feel that this person being so true to themselves, whereas I'm being maybe, I don't know, conforming to whatever this ideology I believe in, it's making me feel uncomfortable. So it might be like just subconscious thing where it's like, I don't like people who are different from me. I don't like people who are, um, you know, different from what I grew up with, what my grandma grew up with, which all due respect to your grandpop, sure he was great. Times change and people and things are different. Do you understand what I'm saying, Jenny? Do you
Yeah,
understand? Like,
totally.
is that like
I
what's
think
going on in their brains? I don't know.
it's like there's a lot of like internalized shame
Yeah.
and abuse and like it's like the hurt people thing. It's like if you've been taught to like keep quiet and like just take what you're given and like fit in to
Hmm.
this system where people are easier to manage and like
Yeah.
control, and
Yeah.
then someone is like, no, I don't think so, then it's
Hmm.
like I think people are jealous
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well as
I.
threatened. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like it's like I mean with like clothing, like I sometimes I'm like, am I just like in an age where like I cannot unlearn a lot of like weird shame stuff
Hmm.
that like was given to me by people who were given that and like, like I just think I'm like so happy for like young people who are like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna wear a crop top and fuck no, I'm not sorry about it. And fuck yeah, I'm gonna do whatever I want and I'm gonna go out with whoever I want and like, make these choices for myself and like not worry about like, expectations of like norms. And
Yeah.
I'm just like very excited for young people. It's like I'm grateful for like the freedom that I was able to like have and then like little doors that I was able to see and go through that like my mother was not able to, access. I think it's like, but then also again, it's like people are so afraid of change. Like
Yeah.
I think change reflects mortality and like
Hmm.
impermanence, and we're so uncomfortable with that. Like,
Yeah.
even these norms are like people are just the way it's always been. And it's like that's the way it's been for maybe 500 years, which is
I
a blip,
feel, yeah, no, I hear you.
like,
I hear you, and I feel like there's been a different version of that type of person through every generational change in society. Like I feel like that person was existed in the 50s when
mhm.
stuff was changing, in the 60s when really
Oh yeah.
stuff was changing. That person existed in the 70s, 80s. So it's like you wouldn't think though, because it's 2024, I think we're roughly around the same age, that it would still be happening, because you'd think like people would be a little bit more, they'd get it a
Smarter
little bit.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it still is. So I don't know.
Well, education is like I said, the focus on education here in the States is like there's all this discourse about critical race theory, and people are like,
Yeah.
don't tell the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to admit that things are fucked up and like
I'm
need to
doc
be changed. And it's like,
I'm indoctrinating people.
yeah, like it's just kind of like, I don't know, the truth of like gender is not binary and it's
Yeah.
constructed and like all this stuff about like, well, women are this way and men are that way. And like that's the end of the conversation. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's just so ridiculous. Like, so anyway, so I'm at Canvas.
Hey, I'm glad
Yeah.
I'm glad we brought that up because I wanted to bring that up. I didn't know if we would have enough time, but
Oh yeah.
now we
Let's
for
get
sure
right
did.
into it. Trans
So
rights.
yeah, hell yeah. So we got a couple questions about Reckoner. So you got a June um wait a minute, we're past that. Yeah, so you got a June 29th show. You got a
Uh-huh.
June 30th show. I have two questions. Number one, you've only released two songs. So how do you
Mhm.
fill how are you guys going to fill a set unless you haven't released the songs that you're going to play or you're going to play different songs? I don't know. And then my second question is, and this is awesome because this was something that someone had brought up for the June 30th show. Someone had brought up during the pandemic how shows would change. And you guys have a show on the 30th with a opener that's a I believe a drag performance, which is
Mhm.
very out of the ordinary. Uh the person I'm talking about is Missy from Mannequin Pussy. She had said that when stuff got back from the pandemic, she would like to see like comedians or magicians. Shout out to my friend Magic, Michael Casey, who's a magician who opens up for punk rock bands. Um, and this is a perfect example of something that's happening here. Are you excited about that show, June 30th, with the crazy opener, the cool opener, and then also what songs are you going to play? Because I only heard two, and I love them, but I only heard two. So is the set going to be a two-song set, or are you going to throw some new stuff in there?
We have a 30-minute set. We
Okay,
have a
cool,
bunch of
cool.
stuff written. We tomorrow I'm gonna put vocals on two more songs that are like otherwise done. And
Yeah.
then we Monday and Tuesday are recording another two.
Oh, nice.
And like, yeah, so we've got stuff simmering and ready to go and just like, scheduling and money. It's like you gotta
Yeah.
kind of pace yourself. This is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
totally independent and also I'm just gonna blow it up right now. We're gonna release those two that you have heard with Double
Mhm.
Helix Records. They're gonna put it on vinyl for us, and like you can buy it and whatever, and have the object. And um, they seem super cool. We've had some very great conversations about them. It's like a non-capitalist, kind of love-based, community-based model.
It's cool.
They're in Arizona. It's a couple. They're like very intentional about like where they get things made and who they work with, and like that is just perfect for like
Yeah.
what we want to do, because truthfully there's no money in this. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is not my job. Trying to make Bad Cop my
Hmm.
job was like
Yeah.
fucking killing me, because
Yeah.
there just isn't the money. Like there is
No.
if you've been doing it for 20 more years, but like it's
Hmm.
like jumping in to like the housing market. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where, like, well,
Yeah.
you're just gonna have to like pay to be here, and then people are gonna yell at you about what you're doing or not doing. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't have the money or time for this. So this is not about money. This is like, and then making an entire album takes money and like a lot of time. And everyone in Reckoner is like a grown adult with like other things going on and like responsibilities, and like we just cannot that doesn't make sense for us. Everyone's so busy. I mean,
Yeah.
Candace is literally the busiest person I know. And then we also like are just like not trying to like, we're just kind of wandering and following like what happens, which feels very cool, because again, it's like there's no one that's going to make money on this that's like, actually, you need to stay in this lane so we can
Hmm.
brand this. So we're kind of like, we're working with different recording engineers and like writing like whatever we feel like, and
Yeah.
like
I
being
feel like
very
I,
experimental.
I feel like, no disrespect to your prior band, but I feel like you're in a better headspace now. I feel like you're happier because of that kind of freedom, and
Yeah.
you're able to be home and do the your other stuff and your other creative stuff. Am I right about that? Or
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm able to support myself. I have a great job right now. I'm teaching at Cal State Long Beach in the illustration department, and
Oh,
I
cool.
love it. And like, it allows me to freelance and bake and like play music. And
Yeah.
um, I was like, when like money and time and like a lack of creativity was like really stressful for me
Yeah.
in Bad Cop. And like I said, I really like variety and experimentation. And like I was just listening to this interview where this person was talking about our life within algorithms and
Yeah.
like globalization and like internet culture is, while at first it seems like it would be broadening,
Hmm.
is like algorithmic driving of like taste and content and expectations is
Yeah.
narrowing things.
Yeah.
And like I was kind of feeling that too, where it's like you do something and people respond to this and this, but not these things. So then next time it's like, okay, we're going to just do those two things that people responded to because we're like being whipped about by like
Yeah.
other
It's
people's taste. And
hmm
like, then it's just like you get into this corner where it's like, why am I doing this?
yeah.
You know, are you reading the Rick Rubin book on
Oh,
creativity?
I bought the I read a bit of it, but I bought it for my brother Justin, and I gave it to him for Christmas. That was
Oh
actually
my
it's funny,
God.
funny you bring that up. But I read a lot of it. I listened to his was it I can't remember the name of his podcast, but I listen to his podcast. I read a lot of the stuff. Yeah, so I haven't read all of his book, but I listened to a lot of of his words.
Uh,
Yeah,
Go back to it
yeah,
anytime you want. I mean, there's been a lot of things where I'm like, thank you for articulating that. But he says,
yeah,
like, don't write for an audience,
yeah. Right for your
write
yeah,
for you. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
That's a
you
big.
are the source of this.
Hmm.
It's not the other way around. Like, when you are pandering to like
Yeah.
other people's like wants and needs, it's like you're
Hmm.
just, again, you're going to narrow it down. It's going to be inauthentic. It's like,
Yeah.
who's driving this thing? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, yeah, so we are driving. I love the singles 7 inches model for that reason. There was this band from Detroit that I mean, I don't know if they're still doing anything, but they're called the Hard Lessons. And they like, I remember reading an interview with them about doing EPs in 7 inches. And they were like, it's just, we can put out more music, we can do what we want. Like, it's more sustainable. Like, they were working and like, doing it as like a loving side project that was like incredible, but like I've never forgotten that. And like this was maybe 15 or 20 years ago that they were
Yeah.
doing this, and people were just like, what the fuck are you doing? And it's like, we are doing what's best for us and the project. And like
Yeah.
I still think about them and have a lot of respect for that. And like they're, I think, still really important in like a Detroit musical context. Like
Yeah. That's very,
so I just,
yeah.
speaking of Detroit, Kyle and I, the
Mhm.
bass player, grew up in Michigan together. We were like, we met in high school. He was in a band with like friends from my high school. He was from a different school, but like we've just known each other forever.
Right.
And like, he was in a band called Fireworks, which was like a big Midwest emo band. They just had like a reunion tour. And just like a best friend of mine forever and ever. And like I forget why, but a long time ago, we were like, we had this very responsible friend named CJ, and we were like, CJ's our dad, and we're brother and sister. And like, so we've been fake siblings for 25 years. And um, he was living in Detroit for longer than I lived in Michigan. And so I would go home to visit my family, and like we played music a couple times and we're like, damn, this is cool. Like, too bad. No one's ever going to hear it, you know? And then he's been out in Hollywood for a few years. Like, he's like a comedian, he does stand up, and
Oh, cool.
he's like writing stuff, and he's still involved. He's like a tour manager and does a lot of music stuff. And um, we were just like, post lockdown. I think he was like one of my friend hangs that I happened during lockdown. And he was like, I'm out here and you're out here and we should. I was like, I know we should, but I don't have any other time or bandwidth, but like one day. And then And then Sven is from Switzerland and a real good friend of mine. These are just like three of my very favorite people, like
Yeah.
of all time. So I met Sven because um I think we put out the second Bad Cop EP, the first one on Fat, and he wrote me an email and was like, "Hey, I'm in this band in Switzerland and like I want you to sing on this song and I love your voice and stuff like that." And I was like, "Wow." That was like kind of the first time that happened and
Yeah.
I was like, "Sure, I'll check it out. How cool. Like someone from across the world like wants to do something together." And he sent me this fucking cool song called Moon, and the band is Walking with Ghosts. And like he just has this awesome voice that's like he's got great pitch and like delivery and like this kind of dry, almost like Lemmy voice where it's like
Oh wow.
very
That's
rough and textural, but like I said, the guy can sing and he writes great melodies and he's like a really good songwriter and just the sickest guitar player. Um, so I got to do that song with him. I like recorded the vocals and sent it back, and I was like, we sound good together. Like,
that was the point.
almost
Yeah,
like,
you knew at that point. It was like, all right,
yeah,
this is
so it's not, like not everybody has everything, which is
yeah,
great. But like I was like, man, this guy's like got melodies and good songwriting and like great voice and like it
yeah,
just the product is really cool. It's still one of my favorite like things I've ever gotten to be a part of. So then when we finally toured Europe, I met him and like he's just like the nicest dude.
yeah.
And then he got together with his now wife, who's like her name is Simone Barghezzi, and she's like a stunt person and an actor and she
Oh
was like an
wow.
action sports host for like I think MTV Europe and like just like truly an unbelievable and wild woman and like so she was coming out to LA for some work and they came out a couple times and like we would hang out and she really wanted to move here and I was like you should
Yeah,
that'd be so cool and like they wanted to and then the pandemic happened and they were like oh we're stuck in Switzerland like we can't someone was supposed to work on I think a TV show and they were just like we're on hold um but then we before that actually so Bad Cop was on tour from February until March 14th, which is like when the government was like, you need to come home now or you can't come home. And
oh
we were
yeah,
like,
yeah. I
oh,
remember
there's
that.
this flu happening. It might be like bird flu, ha ha. And it was
Better
like,
stay home.
no,
Yeah,
borders are
remember.
closing. Like we were like getting kind of mousetrapped in
Mm-hmm.
Europe. And like it got to the point where like we were kind of stuck. We couldn't get into Italy. We were like, whoa, where do we go? We got to like make a plan and probably get out of here. But like, where can we do that? And Sven reached out and was like, come to our house and like just chill out and do laundry and like you're safe and welcome here, which is bananas because they have like a little boy and like everybody was just like very afraid of like what this is, understandably, and like to open your home to us and like invite like us and make war. We were like the tour package and like just like let us like relax and have like a peaceful day and like eat good food and like play soccer in the backyard and like feel safe and like our team was like this guy Tom McGeehan who I fucking love. He's a genius. He's the funniest, kindest, most brilliant person ever. He's like he was our driver and like and Enos from T Mom like another like conscientious like beacon of light in this world like so they were like working on like a plan, you know what I mean? And I think that break enabled them to like figure out what to do and like how to get us to any airport and like how to get the van back to like the Czech Republic and like what to do with like, because it, anyway. So I just, yeah, very generous and like brave and kind and like empathetic and we just a great friend. So in September of last year, I get this call from Sven and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. What are you doing? He's like, we're in LA now. I was like, you're not. Like, this is so exciting. And he's like, so he doesn't have a work visa because he's an immigrant and like his wife does, but like
Yeah.
he was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. And I was like, you're gonna play music and come to shows, and like I'm gonna introduce you to everybody I can, and like you're gonna be fine, dude. Like you're in the best place for a person of your
Take care of it.
talents and
Yeah.
like interests. And so I think that week we went to a show at Zebulon, and like it was like Mika Miko was doing like this show, which is really special. And like he was just like, cool, I feel good about this. And like, we got a veggie dog, like, it was just like,
Yeah.
and he doesn't drink. And I was like, listen, this is like, it's easier to be sober here than it is in Europe. And like, there's like a culture of people that like get it and like are not going to be weird to you about it. And like, and then I played this show with Bradley Riot. I don't know if you know him.
Sounds,
Um,
it's ringing a
he,
bell, but I can't
oh,
quite. Yeah.
super cool guy. He's in LA, but
Yeah.
he was doing a solo thing. And we did this show together. And then he was like, hey, I'm trying to do a whole band. Do you want to be my guitar player? And I was like, that is so cool and flattering. I can't.
Wow.
But the good news is this fucking guy just moved here. And so they are in the band together and they're really hit it off and like
Yeah.
they're having a blast. And um yeah, Sven was just like, hey, I would love to do something with us, And I was like, oh my God. Just thinking about like how cool our voices sounded together. And like I'm such a big fan of like, Mass Hysteria and X and like this band New Creases is like they're not a band anymore, but like hugely influential to me. And like just like the different sounds of voices combining, like Reviver, and like I just always wanted to do something like that. And I was like, fuck, here's my chance. Like, um, anyway, so we got together and I had been truly like kind of worn down and like destroyed by like the production process of working on songs with Bad Cop, where it was like I
Yeah.
just kind of felt like
Monotonous.
monotonous, but also like there was a lot of resistance to me trying to do weird things because it was like that
Outside.
doesn't fit,
So
or like you're being weird
yeah,
again.
outside the
Yeah, I was
box
like,
kind of stuff. Yeah.
I hate a box. Like, I don't want to do, we're already doing the thing that you were asking me to do. So,
Hmm.
like, can we please do something different? And like,
Yeah.
then it was just like me pushing for that kind of was like, well, you're difficult. And like, also not doing what we want. And like, I can be very difficult if I'm not feeling like free. So it was just, I was just very like, I kind of felt insecure as like a songwriter and like, I was like pretty gun shy about like recording and writing stuff with people, but like it was so easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, I'm so grateful for just even this. If we don't do anything, like this is like made me feel good about myself.
Yeah, it's like you like exhaled. It was very very therapeutic for you.
Yeah, and like to be, I mean, I am in the wrong context, like difficult and like not the right person for the job, but like in other contexts, like I'm fucking amazing. Like, and like some people are like, I fucking hate Jennie and she's the worst and we had a terrible experience. And then other people are like, what are you talking about? She's great. So I was like, I feel good that I'm like able to be in a she's great opinion,
Yeah. Yeah.
situation again.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then so I was like, and Candace and I have always been like, someday we'll have a band together, but like no pressure. I love you, you love me. We're so busy. Like, and like I was just like, I think I have everything we need here. Like I got a bass player and a drummer and like honestly, like my favorite drummer and like, a chance to work with Sven, but like none of them had met each other.
Mhm.
And I was like, I love them all and I hope they love each other. And like I'm just gonna try it. And I was kind of nervous because like I was just nervous. You know what I mean? It's like small.
How did so you had a show with them June 8th, I think. How did
Yeah.
that was at I don't know where that was at, but how did that go?
That was at Genghis Cohen in LA, which is the sickest venue.
Yeah.
Um, and like Kyle turned 40 on the 8th, and like I think really the only way anything ever happens in the world is like before you're ready. So we were like, we're
Yeah.
not ready, but okay.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, where do you want to do it? And he was like, I don't know. I want it to be in LA and I want it to be somewhere cool. And Candace literally knows everything cool and was like, see if Genghis Cohen is available. Like they have great food and it looks cool and like it's small and
Book it. Yeah.
so I reached out and they said yes, which is amazing, to be like kind of nobody and ask for a Saturday is like,
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
you
For
know.
real.
So we got it, and that was the best show I can remember playing in my
Nice.
life.
Wow.
I don't know if it was because it was like so relieving and like
Yeah.
all this
Which,
like anxiousness about like, will people come? Will they like it? Will we be good?
mhm.
Because I know we were like writing great stuff and everybody's really talented, but it's also just like we
Well, gave you,
almost
yeah.
never get together. Like
Gave you your confidence. You had confidence prior too, but it kind of reassured
like
everything.
one
Yeah.
practice, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was just, which I was like, but then also like these are pros. Like, Sven toured with MXPX, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these
Yeah.
people are
Knows
good at like jumping in and learning songs, and like Candace literally sits in for crazy people all the
yeah.
time. Like where it's like, what? You're playing with like, okay, so it was awesome. It was so fun and
Yeah.
affirming. Got a good response, and yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's off to a great start, like I said, and I'm looking forward to hearing more songs outside of the two you
Hey,
released. But you know what I got to say? So I was looking on YouTube and I saw you. Well, prior to this all happening, what we just talked about, um, like the interim period between this, you did some solo stuff, and those two songs that I heard, Noel Madrid and Dead Letters, holy shit. You
thanks.
you need, yeah, also like sick. You need to make, not to tell you what to do. You need to like, maybe make them into Reckoner songs somehow. I don't know. They're really good. I love them. I saw the King something podcast. You did them
King
for 'em.
Rock,
King Rock. Okay.
Billy.
All right.
Yeah.
Shout out to them, but great songs. So are they just gonna live on their own, or do you have like s- mm, inklings of maybe bringing them to like maybe transitioning them to Reckoner songs?
Um, I think those would probably stay just Jennie songs. I've
Fit
been
more as
trying
that,
so
yeah,
hard to record those and like
yeah,
really getting nowhere with it, which was again this stuff where I was like, am I just asking people to listen to something that nobody wants? Like, am I forcing my like stuff on people? Because like it was just like I spent like a lot of money and like years trying to get that stuff
mhm,
together and like literally got nothing out of it, which is like
yeah,
very, I mean, I'll be honest. Like I feel like when I put a lot into things, I do not often like meet failure, but like
mhm,
that was just like fuck it. And then Billy, he's a good friend of mine. He invited me onto his podcast and was like, let's track those songs. And I was like, yeah. And then they came out almost exactly how I wanted them to, which is I was like, it's all about context. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you may not get it. That means we're not right for each other. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
fine. But then somebody will get it. And like Billy like got it. And I'm really happy with how those came out and considering just like releasing them as is,
yeah,
so I can
yeah,
move forward and like as far as making them Reckoner songs, like Candace was like, we could do your songs. And I was like, we could, but those first two songs that we released were Jennie songs. And I think only because I was like, I still feel weird about writing and don't know how to write with people yet because I'm
yeah,
like bruised from how that had been. And like I wanted to make something happen. So I was like, let's just do these. And it was fun. But what was more fun was like all these brilliant people I'm recording with right now are like, they have so much to contribute. And I feel like for me to come in with something that's like already has legs is like kind of robbing
yeah.
them of like a chance to really shine. So we are having like a great time just like writing everything together. where
Mhm.
like they can
That's
get
kind of
in
cool. Yeah.
earlier and like have like a bigger influence and more input, and it's like more balanced. I am still playing solo kind of a lot. Like there's a bunch of stuff coming up this summer and like I'm enjoying that. It's just so easy to be like, it's just me. I drove here. I'm
Yeah.
late, but no one's mad. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
That's good. I didn't want them to kind of like, fall by the wayside because they're really good songs and
thanks.
yeah,
That's really nice of you to say.
for sure. So a couple other things I wanted to get into to ask you about. So to pivot back from music back to cake making. I have a few questions about that.
Okay.
So it's all amazing. If you haven't, follow Jenny on her second account on Instagram. I believe it's at Jenny Bakes Things.
Yes.
Please follow her. Look at all the sick cakes that she has made for people. Unbelievable. My personal favorite, because I was perusing them earlier, was the well, I have a couple favorites, but like the death to your, yeah, I think you made it a couple years ago or whenever it was, death to your 20s cake. It was
The
a
black cake.
yeah, it was like a black cake with like black flowers and everything, and it was really interesting. That was that's something where you I was thinking to myself like, okay, so you can have that, you can have the death to your 20s cake, you can have the death to your 30s cake, which I probably could have had a couple years ago, but it didn't happen because it got eaten by the pandemic, and I got no party for that one.
Ooh, you get a
Um,
do-over, I think. If you
I
had a
should, I
milestone birthday
should.
during
If
lockdown,
if any family is watching this, I deserve a do-over. Like,
yeah, do it.
it's not fair. Listen to
Yeah,
Jenny. Yeah, for
have
real.
fun. Yeah.
Anyway, the but I was just a thought that came to my mind. So you can't do that. You can do that cake for your death of your 20s. You can do it for the death of your 30s. You can even do it for the death of your 40s, which we're not there yet, or the death of your 50s even. But like past that, you can't. I think I don't know. You can't do it like a death of your 80s cake.
You can
That's got
do whatever you want.
it's
You
not in
know?
bad. All right, so when I turn 80
Mhm.
in a couple years, I'm going to request the death of my 80s cake. So
Yeah. If I'm around, I'll make that for
yeah,
you.
that's what we're
Yeah.
saying. Um, did you have any older brothers or sisters growing up that got you into music, or did you find it out on your own? How did you I know you've probably covered this before, but like I'm the oldest of three, so I kind of was the person in my family. But did you discover music, punk rock, on your own, or did you have an older brother or sister? That's usually the two ways that it happens.
Yeah. I am such a younger sister, to the point where like
Oh
I
wow,
most of
okay.
my information comes from like people I trust. And
Yeah.
like I think if I were an eldest child, if I were curious in the same way that I am, I would probably be better at researching. So I have like the best, I'm sorry to say for everyone else, the best brother in the world.
Yeah.
He's 2.5 years older than me. He's like the smartest, gentlest person in the world. And like, he's like so open-minded and like thoughtful. And like, he's like, he's just always been that way, like, even as like a small child. Um, and like, he has like very broad tastes. And like, so as soon as he got a job, which he was like 16 or 15, he like spent all of his money on music. And like, it was like I kind of reaped the benefits of that because I was like, I get to hear this. And like, um, I was just always like, what are you into? I want to know what you're doing. And like, he was like, okay, like, and then he was like driving obviously before I was. And like, so we would go to like little shows. And yeah, he just like, yeah, he had to find it. It's not like, I mean, I know a lot of people who are like, my cousin made me a mixtape. And
Yeah.
it's like, but he
That
was
was it.
like exploring and finding things. And like, it was just like, yeah, that's how it happened for me. He's like, yeah, so it's cool. It's cool, like all the things I've gotten to do, like when whenever I would get to tour with like a band that we loved as teenagers, I would make sure to get him like a shirt and a record and like get stuff signed and like,
Yeah.
poster and like, just like try to like, because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're gonna think this is unbelievable
Hmm.
too,
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
shout out to Jenny's brother. Shout out to you.
Steve, Steve, yeah.
Steve, shout out to
Steve,
you, Steve. You're the
best.
man.
He's the best.
Cheers.
Yeah. If you ever meet him, you got to get a hug from him. It's like he's like the best at hugging. He's like this enormous, gentle person.
Yeah.
Um, yes, I think that how there's like therapy dogs that go to hospitals. I think my brother could be like a therapy hugger. But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So so my last guest I had on the show, Jenny, was Elliot Fulham, Little Punk People. He's an actor. He used to do interviews, still does interviews, and he's a musician. He's on tour coming up. But I'm lifting an entire segment for you. I don't know how much time we have left, so like feel free to cut me off whenever you think, because I know you have 11:30, I think, right, or something.
Yeah, like 11, maybe 15. I should
Oh,
stop. I didn't take
perfect,
any
perfect.
pictures in this
Yeah, we're
case
good.
yet.
We're good. So, so one of the, it's all good. So one of the things that Elliot uh did when he was younger during his interviews was he would ask his guest a bunch of random ass questions not related to the next one. So I'm going to do that with you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I hope we can run through these. Some of these, believe it or not, we already covered. So
Oh,
I'm gonna cut a couple of them. But all right, so number one. Um, okay. If you had no choice but to get a face tattoo, what would it be? No choice. You had no choice to get a face tattoo. You had no choice. Has to be
whoa.
something. Has to be something. I didn't even think of this myself. So I don't know. I might go with like, um, don't know. It's tough though.
Uh, okay. I mean, practically speaking, I
Mhm.
think I would probably get something along the hairline that's like
Yeah.
decorative, but like
Yeah.
if we're talking about like a message to the world, fuck.
The tough question.
I am so conflicted about I mean, I have some tattoos, but I'm just
Yeah.
like I didn't need to do that. Like I change my mind so often. Damn. I don't know. What would you get?
Out of my face, Jesus. Probably maybe. God.
Hard.
I mean, like if I had to get something, it would have to mean something. I don't want to get like a fucking something that means nothing. So I'm a big pet person. I'm an animal person. So I guess I would get some kind of memorial for like one of my lost pets. So maybe like a I don't know, maybe like a paw print here or something.
Okay.
People would say it's weird, but like I would explain to them that I'd have to get it or
Yeah.
I would be offed. So I don't.
Okay, I know what I'm gonna get.
All right.
You remember Rainbow Bright?
Yes. Oh, yes, yes.
She had a little star
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Good choice. Excellent
Yeah.
answer. Excellent
Okay.
answer. Next question. What TV show makes you laugh the hardest?
Oh my God.
There was a second part to that question, but I'm gonna hold off.
I don't know. I mean, when Adventure Time first came out, I was
Oh,
like
yeah, I was a big
completely destroyed. Flapjack. The
okay.
Marvelous Adventures of Flapjack is like the funniest show I think
All
I've
right.
ever. But yeah.
Very
Okay.
solid answer. And Adventure, shout out to Adventure Time too. I liked Adventure Time. Next one. If you could bring back so if you could bring back one dead celebrity back from the dead
Wait,
to life.
Workaholics. Sorry.
Oh, all right, you go back. All
Sorry,
right,
I'm like stuck on
pause.
it.
I'll edit on that. So
Okay.
workaholic. Okay,
Just
you're
stuff
trying
that
to
I
think of
still
workaholic.
think about and laugh about is
Yeah.
Workaholics.
All right. Good show. Good show. Workaholics is a great show. I called in the Tom Green show one time, and they were the guest, and I had
Oh,
shitty connection.
yeah.
Yeah, ironically enough.
Actually, have you seen Righteous Gemstones?
Yeah, yeah, great show. Yeah, great show. Yeah.
Fucking Judy. I can't.
Hmm.
I mean, also any Danny McBride. Like, I just want to
You
hang
know,
out with Danny
oh,
McBride.
anything Danny McBride. You know how I know that was a good show? Because my parents, who are in their right now, they're in their 70s, told me to watch it. He's like Rue, you got to watch this. Ryan, you have to watch my real name. Ryan, you have to watch this show. Oh, it's
It's
hilarious. So I say,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, hilarious show. I don't know what season they're in now. I think three or
Yeah.
so. Yeah, something like that. But so the next question: if you could bring back one dead celebrity back from the dead to life for 1 year, who would it be, and what and why? You bring him back for a year. Why would you bring him back? And who would it be and why? One dead celebrity. Has to be a
Carl
celebrity.
Sagan.
Say it again.
Carl Sagan,
Okay, okay.
celebrity physicist. Um, because I think he had a way of delivering important information and messages that people like digested. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you ever seen the Carl Sagan Cosmos series?
I don't think so. No.
It's like a TV series from like I think 1981 or something. It's like my favorite thing ever made. And like he just it's like it has all this awesome kind of like at the time really like forward thinking graphics and animation and like visuals and like they're like visualizing concepts that like cannot be seen with human eyes or like exist throughout history in a way that it's like we don't know what it looked like, you know.
Yeah.
um Very like 80s futurist, like visionary, and like there's always like this like important message of like environmental stewardship and like responsibility, and like he's just like very gentle, like like yeah, Carl Sagan, we need you. Come back.
You're such a better person than I am. I would have said probably like Pee Wee Herman and come back and like troll Donald Trump or something.
I do miss Paul Rubin. That was the one where I was like, oh no, like
Yeah.
truly like so influential on me. My
Did
whole
you
life was
I just found this out last week. So it's free for everybody watching at home. If you have the app Tubi, you can watch all the old Pee Wee's Playhouses right now.
I have it
For
on DVD.
for free. For free. For free.
Yeah.
For people who
Yeah.
are too young and don't know what I'm talking about, still watch it, even if you didn't
Oh,
even if you didn't
it's
grow
so
up with it.
important. Yeah.
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 All right. What is the let's see. Cutting some of these. Did that one. Very good. All right. So, if there is an afterlife, what do you hope the afterlife to be like?
Oh, I've never thought about that. Um, I don't know. I think I generally picture it as like just like energy, almost like visually, like just like glitter, just like mixing together like a lack of bodily boundaries and like it seems peaceful and like I guess kind of neutral, like the ideas of like good and bad, and I don't think that would exist there. Yeah, I don't know.
There's a show on Netflix. I can't remember. I don't know if it's called Life After Death or something, but it's these people who had near death experiences, whether they're like almost drowned in a kayaking accident or almost in a car accident, and they clearly they're alive. They're talking heads on the end of the Netflix show, but they describe their experiences very similar to what you just said.
Huh,
It's like a very like out of body like strange type thing. So not to get too analytical and but that's a good answer. Solid answer. Check out that show by the way. I think it's called Life After Death.
okay.
So my next question is we're getting to the end here. So um what do you this is the Elliot too. What is wrong with people? What do you think is wrong with people? If maybe you don't think anything is wrong with these people. I tend to don't like them. What do you think is wrong with people who hate dogs and do you trust people who don't like dogs? Because I saw you post a little some fur babies in your
Yeah, my roommate has joint custody of two of
okay.
the cutest dogs I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with them. Um, I think I don't know. I've met a lot of people who don't like tactile things, like they're like upset by that, or um
Could be more
like cleanliness. I mean, not
yeah.
that I think dogs are necessarily dirty, like we keep them pretty clean now, but I think it's just like, or maybe they're turned off by the need to like care for something else. Like, I know there's this like popular schism between like dog and cat people, and it's like,
Yeah.
I think that is about like, how much do you need from me and what is your temperament? Like, I know people that are like, they just love it when someone's mean to them. Like, they think it's funny, they think it's hot, and I'm just like, fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think it's just like a matter of taste, or
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good solid answer. Very solid answer. All right, well that was those were your questions. I mean,
Thank you.
there are no more
There are no
that I have.
more.
There was a couple more, but I cut them because we kind of covered them earlier and
Oh,
different things. But so before we get out of here, Jenny, people watching this for the first time, you're gonna have a lot of people watching this. You're gonna have a lot of people watching this who clearly love your work and your art, but you're gonna have some people watching this who have no idea where to find you. Um, Tell everybody where they can find you on the interwebs and also about Reckoner too.
thank you. First of all, thank you for having me and like for your patience. I know this has been like cooking for so long. So
It's all
thank
good.
you for like hanging in there and like hosting this and your great questions and interest in what is going on. I really appreciate it. So I'm pretty much just active on Instagram. I like cannot possibly manage another inbox. So that's
Yeah.
just it. So my Instagram for like me and music and art and stuff like that is all kind of in one place. That's my name. It's JennieCotterill. That's it. Super creative handle. And then I make cake also. Mostly that is on the internet. I do have a website just in the hopes of like letting people order things a little easier, but that is Jennie Bakes Things. Um, and then if you are trying to order a cake from me and you use the website form, like, thank you so much. But also, like, I really need to put a disclaimer that says, like, check your spam box for my reply because it's like, or put your phone number on the form like I'm asking for, because a lot of times I can like text people and be like, I responded to you. I think it's in your spam. But I think people are just like, I don't need to put that, but you really do. Yeah, I have a website that's like I literally cannot ever remember to like reactivate it, but I know I know I should. It's just my name. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, that's kind of it. I don't TikTok or Twitter. I can't even log into Facebook anymore. It just won't let me, even though I want to like buy furniture on there.
Yeah, no, it's all right. And Facebook is you're not missing much on Facebook.
No.
It's people just uh being making themselves hateable. So
Yeah,
don't
it's
even go in there.
hyperbolic.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the marketplaces though. That does sound, and like the groups, but also like I literally don't need another hobby. So even if I could get in, I probably wouldn't. But that's
I need
it. Instagram.
I need everybody to also follow Reckoner_CA on Instagram.
Oh, thank you. Good idea. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We
We need to build that up. Build them up.
check it out. Also follow Double Helix because that's where the record is going to be coming out. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And also we got a show on the 29th, Strummers, it looks like, in Fresno,
mhm.
and the 30th of June at Supply and Demand,
Yeah.
LBC. So
Yeah.
I have a cousin that lives out that way. Better go to the show. Go to the show, Lauren.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so
Mhm.
this has been an awesome talk. Thanks so much, Jenny. I really appreciate you coming on the show today, and yeah, just continued. Well, success is subjective, so I'm going to say continue to create your art and being your truest self. That's all I got to say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So for folks at home, everybody, for my dog who's been sitting patiently on the floor the entire hour. Thanks, guys, for watching, and thank you, Jenny. I will
Oh,
talk to you all real soon. Cheers,
thank
guys.
you.